Welcome, everyone. I am Edward Hertzman, CEO and founder of Athletech News. Anthony, always a pleasure to see you. I appreciate you taking some time to speak with me this afternoon.
Yeah, of course.
So let's hop right into it. I got a ton of questions, and let's see how many we could get through. So to start off, real macro, what do you think is really the special sauce that separates Xponential from so many other fitness companies, in the industry? You guys have so much success over the past few years. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I mean, where we are today, it's size and scale, right? That across the 10 brands and 3,000 stores and 19 countries, it's size and scale. But kind of beginning before that, obviously, I've been in this business for 20 plus years doing boutique fitness franchising, and so I don't say that I'm good at much, but I'm good at that, and just because I've been in it for so long, doing the exact same thing. So I haven't spread out and just been in fitness from a corporate perspective. I don't think I'm the guy to go run, Lifetime or 24 Hour or LA Fitness or anything like that. I think that's a completely different animal. And I think we're a completely different animal than those. And hopefully guys like Bahram and others would agree with that. And so we do have that fitness angle in common, but outside of that, in boutique fitness franchising, I've been doing it 20 plus years, which is really longer than anybody else. And so it really is a playbook we have today that came from trial and error. It came from doing a lot of stuff wrong and deciding to not do the wrong stuff anymore and then do more of the right stuff and the things that are working, right? And so that's just kind of a value that we have, that we bring to franchisees. And you never really know what that's worth until you start talking to other people. I was talking to a guy at a donut shop this last week, just talking about reorganizing his lease post COVID. And he's like, "Can I give you free breakfast or donuts for life or something? Because I'm going to go save a couple $1,000s a month on my rent." Right. And so after doing thousands and thousands and thousands of leases over a couple decades, we provide a massive value. Today, the leverage of what we have across the brands is kind of second to none out there. Nobody has the size and scale and the leverage we have. And so today, coming to us, we've got a lot to pick from, and we've got a lot of data points and a lot of history.
And how do you keep this growth, happening? Is it international? Is it new modalities, new acquisitions? But how do you? And the second part of that question is, how do you keep the foot on the gas, but not cannibalize, your existing 10 brands?
Yeah, I mean, we use technology to really figure out what our TAM is and to know our customer really well, and then to figure out where do those customers live and in what density around our stores. So we're not just, when franchisees call us, they say, "Hey, I want to open in Miami." We don't just say, "Okay, well, go open up wherever you'd like in Miami, find a shopping center and put a Pilates box in there." We're giving them polygons to say, "Hey, look, this is a specific area of Brickell, a specific area of whatever, where our Pilates customer exists, but maybe our yoga customer doesn't, or our Rumble customer exists, but our AKT customer does not." And so we're very specific about that TAM. We're not committed to just selling franchises. We're committed to being in the royalty business. And of course, we have to sell franchises to get them open, to get into the royalty business. But, we've had 20 quarters of AUV growth, both 9 before COVID, 11 after COVID. And that's unprecedented, right? And that's because we are selling territories we know are going to work. We are putting leases together for franchisees that we know are going to work in those territories. And then we're supporting them with our 300 plus staff here that's making sure that they can be successful. And so, this year we'll open a store every 15 hours, about 550 at the midpoint. That is coming from both domestic and international, about 75% domestic, 25% international. Used to be 90-10. And so really our domestic business is growing steadily, but our international business is starting to explode. And so with that, it's really our international growing on top of our domestic growing that's allowing the company to do what it's doing. I mean, there's nobody out there that'll open 550 locations in a 12-month period. I mean, we still opened 350 stores in 2020 during COVID, when it was technically illegal to be in the fitness business, as crazy as that sounds. Today it's great. We're not cannibalizing ourselves, as we've gone from 24 stores to 3,000 stores. The AUV has gone from 250 to 560, on an AUV basis. So it's continuing to grow. We're in the 7% royalty business, so it does us no good to open up stores that cannibalize each other. So we make no new money, and we just piss a lot of people off, and that's not a way to live life.
So what's your strategy on, buy versus build? And when can we expect to see the announcement of the 11th acquisition?
Yeah, I mean, if we were a private company, we'd probably have 12 or 13 brands today, because I own 100% of it, and I just being a steward of my own capital. But being public and having to be a steward of thousands, tens of thousands of people's hard-earned dollars in the public market, it means we need to listen to those investors that are managing those funds. And for about the last year, those managers have said, "Hey, look, interest rate hikes, the macro. Let's just stay steady. We don't want any turbulence. So 35,000 feet, cruising altitude, take on no turbulence, spill no drinks on board. And let's just open the 500 plus stores, keep leverage low, keep cash high." That's what we've been doing. Over the last 4 to 6 weeks, investors have been changing their tune. And now the first questions and about 80% of the volume of questions are around where's the 11th brand? And so, the public markets are interesting like that, right? There's some days, some quarters, they care about cash, and the next quarter, they don't care about cash, and they care about it again. And so, what we're hearing from investors right now is that we want to see this business growing. And so, we're not going to continue just to sell TAM where we can't open stores, right? We're not in that business. So, eventually, last year we sold 1,000 units, opened 500 plus stores. This year we'll sell less than 1,000 units, not with the demand being lower, but with the supply being lower, because we're not willing to continue to just sell out space that isn't there and decrease AUV over time. And so with that, we'll start to sell less. Maybe we'll sell 6, 7, 800 this year, wherever it kind of pans out, where we can sell good territories, but we're running out of supply. And so we will need to acquire an 11th brand to get supply back, and be able to fill the demand that we have.
Well, I know a lot of people are asking you that question, but I hope that when you have the answer, you send me a nice text to give that story to me embargo. I'd like to get the a head start on that one. Speaking of headlines, another news story that came out, recently. You signed a deal with VaynerMedia. It's the agency of record for Xponential.
Yep.
Gary Vee, I'm a big fan of his. I mean, he's what a career this guy has had. How does this impact your marketing strategy moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I love Gary. Gary's become a friend of mine since we booked him a few years ago to speak to our franchisees, and then COVID happened, and then Gary was coming to speak to the franchisees, and then COVID happened to Gary before he was boarding a flight. So we got Tony Hawk to fill in, and then this last year, Gary spoke to the franchisees, and to be honest, I mean, if you know Gary, you either love him or you don't love him, given his delivery, right?
Yep.
He's very direct. It's very matter of fact. It's how I am. And so we kind of we say we're cut from the same cloth, when we speak, but I was interested to see how the franchisees would like it. And Gary was the top rated speaker we've had at convention, better than Magic Johnson or Damon John or any of these other guys, great people we've had, all great speakers, but he resonated the most with my franchisees. And, sometimes the franchisees may not like what I have to say about marketing or digital marketing, but if Gary
says it, it's okay.
Gary say the same exact thing, they love it. And I don't care. I have no pride of authorship. I want franchisees to be successful. And if they want to hear the same message from somebody else, I mean, Gary's way smarter than I am and way better than I am. So I don't mean to say that I'm saying the same thing. Gary talks at another level. Sometimes I have to, rethink what he said. But the ability for him to resonate with franchisees was huge. And the fact that he knows what he's doing is phenomenal. And I think I am the only person that's got Gary to dress in a suit and show up on Wall Street for our investor day. He got out of the car and I looked at him and I said, "I know you love me when?" And he's like, "Yes, I have my beanie and t-shirt in my car, and I will be changing." But Gary's leading the charge for that with VaynerMedia. They're phenomenal. And so the franchisees not only are in really great hands, but they're really excited to have Gary, somebody that resonated with them, leading the charge. And so Gary and I will be doing kind of off-site marketing seminars, all sorts of different things to keep franchisees engaged in advertising and delivering lead flow. And, our competitors can't go hire Gary Vee. They don't have the leverage and depth that we do.
Yeah, I was going to say, for a small business operator to have that type of tool in the toolbox, it's unbelievable. I mean, he's the largest brands in the world are working with his agencies, and I'm a big fan of his. I mean, look, I'm a New Yorker. I say it how it is. I'm like you, so I like when he gets on stage and says things that maybe people don't always want to hear, but they need to hear it. And so, I think that's a great deal right there.
Yep.
Again, on a macro level, maybe this is even outside the Expo four walls, but what are certain trends that you and your contemporaries are seeing in how people work out, and will that dictate kind of what the next deal is for you?
Yeah, I mean, somewhat it will, right? There's still modalities in health, fitness side, right? If you look at the original filing of our business, it's H&W Investco, so Health and Wellness Investment Company. It's not crazy to figure out. And we went into the fitness space and we went into the wellness space with brands like Stretch Lab, and we've done very well on both sides. There are M&A targets on both sides of the business. I think recovery is having a very nice recovery, if you will, post COVID. And people are still gravitating toward wellness products, which is awesome. And so, we're happy to be in that business, and we will expand further into that business. I'm not quite sold on infrared saunas yet. I'm not quite sold on cryo yet. It doesn't mean it's not amazing, and there aren't people doing great jobs making a lot of money. Just means for me personally as an operator, I haven't. But hydration, for instance, I wasn't sold on that a few years ago, and I'm sold on it now. So it's a space we will go play in, and we will go operate in. So I think on the wellness side, I continue to get more and more sold on wellness and recovery. We probably wouldn't do anything expensive and complex like a restore. That's not our wheelhouse. Really, in the $350,000, $400,000, 1,500 to 2,000 square foot box area is where we've done best, and so it's probably where we'll stay. So things that restore does potentially we will do, but on a single modality basis. And then there's the ability in fitness to do things like boot camps or high intensity interval training, or there's other things we don't have on the fitness side and we don't have on the wellness side. And so, today I'm talking about a half a dozen different companies and probably 3 or 4 different modalities, really trying to figure out who is the best fit for us.
So for the first half of this conversation, we're talking about what are the right companies to acquire, what are the right modalities, but that's only half the equation, right? You got to have the right operators in place, or it doesn't matter what you really buy. So what is it that you look for? And I know this is a big part of your secret sauce, so we talk a lot about this offline, but what is it that you look for in a franchise partner? What is the profile of an ideal franchisee? And do you prefer a single unit versus a multi-unit operator? Is there more success with economies of scale when you start to have multi-unit? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, our average franchisee owns 2.8 licenses, so they on average they are all multi-unit, and 55% of our franchise base owns multiple units, and so we are a multi-unit franchisee brand at Xponential. But it's not that we won't sell a single unit to somebody. It's just that typically our franchisees are what we call ex-corporate refugees, and they are looking to replace an income that's somewhere in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. And that would be very tough to do with one store. And so, they do want to own multiple units so that they can get to that kind of replacement income for themselves. So we tend to lend ourselves to a multi-unit. We don't have any private equity, so we're not that kind of multi-unit. But what people like to refer to as mom and pops, but we call corporate refugees. They have a couple $1 million. They've operated business before. They've worked at Fortune 500 companies, probably for a couple of decades, typically. And they're interested in following the model, right? They've identified that going and opening Patty's Pilates or Bob's Boxing is not for them. Like I said in the beginning, what I could save the donut shop guy, I can save, the entrepreneur going in to open a yoga studio. And so people don't realize that they maybe didn't negotiate their lease the way they should have until it's too late, or they didn't hire the right people until it's too late. And so for us, the ability that we give franchisees from day one, from picking the right territory where their members do live, not just picking a rich neighborhood in the shopping center by the rich neighborhood, doesn't necessarily mean that you've got the density impact to be successful at the AUV you need to be at. So from day one, from picking the right dirt to picking the right shopping center in that dirt to then doing the right lease, at that point, we've already paid for ourselves a few times over. And then going in and hiring the right people, training and supporting the right people, delivering marketing from people like Gary Vee, both on the digital side and then on the non-paid, what I refer to as negative CAC side with our partners with, Gym Pass or Princess Cruises or LG Televisions or Lululemon Mirror or United Healthcare. The list just goes on and on. We've got about a dozen B2B partners that help deliver lead flow to franchisees that need it. And so there are places for franchisees to push on the gas if their utilization isn't where they want it to be.
Mm-hmm. I want to dig a little deeper into on the real estate side. How involved is Expo and your team in picking the exact location? Even if I meet the profile, like you said earlier,
Right.
Hey, I'm Eddie, I want to open Rumble in Brickell. Are you saying, no. You could do that, but it has to be these 5 blocks? Or am I making the decision? You making the decision? We making it together? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we're making it together, but you said, and I picked on you because you're Miami connections. But if you're in Brickell, we're going to say, here's the 3 locations in these shopping centers in Brickell that you can choose from. So you'll get to make the decision on those 3, but we're virtually making it together because I'm saying of these 3, pick one, right? And then we're going in and we're helping negotiate the letter of intent, the lease, the construction, the build out, all those kinds of things to make sure that you're getting a great deal and you're getting a deal inside the confines of what you were planning to spend, right? And so it's important to make sure that we're getting out of the box with the right capital expenditures. Some franchisees will want to go to the cheapest shopping center. We don't want to do that. And some will want to go to an expensive one where they're never going to make any money. And so sometimes you stop them from spending too much to make sure that they're around in 10 years and they can generate a profit.
Would you say no more than you say yes to people that want a franchise?
Yeah, I mean, 98% of the lead flow goes away. And that is, because we don't select them or they don't select us because we scare them with the reality and the truth of what it's going to be. Some people show up and just hate their job and have some money and think that they're going to buy themselves a job. And they find out that we don't even let them work the front desk unless they're qualified, and they can't teach unless they're qualified. So, in some cases, that's a turnoff. We explained to them that this is not just add water. It's a small business. It has risk, and we're here to support you, but it has less risk with our support. And some people don't like that. Some people think it should be guaranteed and it's mailbox money, and that's not how life works. And so, either we don't select them given their questions or their answers and our understanding of how we believe they're going to follow the model. And some people don't want to do business with us after we explain to them what life is going to be like. And so we don't look at it as a sales process. We look at it as an education process. Mm-hmm. After getting educated on what it will be, if you're still picking us and we're still picking you, that ends up being a couple percent, somewhere in the 2 to 3% range, depending on the month or year or quarter or whatever it might be, of the people that, come through for lead flow.
Look, one thing I'm seeing in this industry, there's no lack of passion. It's a very passionate industry. There's a lot of enthusiasm that doesn't always translate into a great operator. And I think that while it may sound tough what you're saying, a little bit of discipline is good for the entrepreneurs out there wanting to take their money and invest, because if they don't have that, it could be a little painful on the other side. So I actually think what you're offering is very smart. Now we talked a lot about a lot of the benefits of Expo, but every CEO, every company has its challenges. It has its tough days. We all had to overcome COVID. What would you say is the greatest challenge you have as a CEO of a publicly traded company? That's not easy. And how do you overcome these challenges?
Yeah, I mean, when you add public company to that is the challenge in and of itself, right? A public company is designed really not to have one single decision maker. It is to have a lot of decision makers. And so it is a lot harder today by design, right? From being a public company, a lot harder by design to get work done, right? Decisions I used to be able to make by myself in a vacuum, that doesn't happen anymore, right? And so, it does make things more complicated at that level. Obviously, we don't get to control stock price in the market. I never thought that when FedEx ships less packages that our stock would go down, because that means a consumer is buying less and spending less on shipping. Therefore, they're going to cancel their gym membership. I've been hearing those things for 2 years now, that, this other things are going to affect somebody canceling a gym membership. And we continue to grow AUV through that, right? 11 interest rate hikes. Everybody telling me nobody's going to open because of the interest rates, or people aren't going to come because of student loan debt, or killer bees, or whatever it is. I mean, every quarter it's some reason that we are not going to succeed. And every quarter since being public, we have done exactly what we say we're going to do, or we've done better. So, we continue to make sure that we can operate for the franchisee, because ultimately, if the consumer is not coming in and spending money, then the franchisees aren't going to make money, nor are we. So we do focus on that consumer and consumer experience and supporting the franchisee. But as a public company, it is tougher, especially the last couple of years, to do business in public company land, without a doubt.
I give you a lot of credit. I would never want to go public. That, it's funny, like as entrepreneurs, we want to be in control of our own destiny. And to your point, some guy goes on CNBC and says the world is ending and the stock goes down 20%. It has nothing to do with your business. These are emotional responses to the market that have really, people get very confused about stock prices every day. So
Yes.
just two more quick questions. You mentioned earlier, Expo, you got partnerships on cruise ships. You got partnerships with Mirror Lululemon. You got partnerships with LG TV. I feel like wherever I go now, I'm seeing you guys, you have so many touch points. What's the strategy behind this?
Yeah, that is the strategy, is that you get sick of seeing us. I forget who it was back in the day, if it's Procter & Gamble or Coca-Cola or whoever, the marketing people used to say, you got to see it 7 times before you buy. And that's why branding works, or, kind of whatever that math is today. It's still along those same lines, right? When, my consumer goes to walk into Starbucks and there's a Pure Bar next door, I don't want them saying to themselves, what is Pure Bar? I want them saying, I bought an LG television from Best Buy, turned it on, and there was Pure Bar. I went to go on a cruise to the Caribbean. There was Pure Bar, right? I opened up my AAA, membership, and there was Pure Bar. And my HR department at work, because I work at Microsoft, sent me an offer for Pure Bar via Gym Pass or whatever it might be, right? And I went into a Lululemon store at the mall and I saw them again. And I was staying at a Hyatt, Hilton, or Four Seasons, and I saw their Xponential workout pods, right? So I want them to be sick of seeing me by the time they see me in the 4-wall. And now, we have a leg up from our competition. So I like to call it negative CAC, where these B2B partnerships, yes, they're paying Xponential to have access to our members and franchisees, but they're also delivering eyeballs and eventually lead flow and closing percentage ratios that our competitors can't compete with, because they don't have the expansion that we do.
I didn't ask you the question earlier because I felt like you've answered it throughout the conversation. Why should someone pick an Expo brand over maybe another company, whether it's the real estate, whether it's Gary Vee? And I think you just added another part to that, is it's an intangible quality. I don't know how else someone's going to be able to offer that many touch points. I mean, literally, you're right. I feel like wherever I go now, I go by an ABC jogger, boom, I walk into Lululemon, there's no on the Rumble from Rumble on the TV or the mirror. So you guys have done a tremendous job in that. Now I'm going to ask you this last question because I have to, or I want to, and because you're publicly traded, you're probably going to give me like a blah answer, but I'll answer it anyway.
I'll try.
So is there anything exciting or anything you could share with us that we should look forward to hearing from you and the Expo team Q4 2023 into 2023 into 2024?
Yeah, I mean, look, that obviously nothing that we haven't already announced publicly, but the upside of Gary starting in October really with us, Gym Pass starting to onboard and starting to become available, with us in October. We still have Class Pass in driving. We have X Plus, X Pass. There will be more B2B partnerships. There will be more international. There will be acquisitions. There'll be M&A work. We are going to continue to do what we do and continue to open stores. I mean, like I said, there's nobody on planet Earth opening a store every 15 hours, and we're doing that. And so, we'll continue to build the business the way we have in the past and look for innovative ways to, introduce things like negative CAC or Gym Pass or, United Healthcare or any of these partnerships that we have.
I'm like you. I'm a big data guy, and I look at the analytics every day. And I can tell you, whenever we write a story about Xponential, people are clicking on it. So the industry is interested in what you're doing, and I hope you continue to share that story with us at Athletech News. I really appreciate the time, Anthony. Always great to see you, and congratulations and continued success.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Thanks.